And so for 1,000 years, the demon King Zahhak ruled over humanity as darkness descended over the earth. But one evening, Zahhak the king had a strange dream, a dream that foretold that the age of the scorpion would yield to the age of Sagittarius, a dream which spoke of a youth bathed in light who would usurp the king Zahhak from his very throne. Now during this time, there lived a woman who became brave through misfortune. Her name was Faranak. She had lost her husband Abtin, who was murdered by the armies of the demon King Zahhak. And she was left with 3 sons. Now when the youngest was born, she marveled at the baby, for it wore a mantle of light, and its head was crowned with a nimbus of light. She brought the baby to a Mobad, to a priest, to explain, why is my baby so bright that it is as bright as the sun during the day, that it glows like the moon at nighttime? The Mobad, the priest, turned to Faranak, saying these words, Faranak, may you be the most blessed of mothers, for you have the child that was foretold in that dream of the demon King Zahhak. That dream foretold of the youth bathed in light, who would usurp Zahhak the king from his very throne. But beware now, for as soon as Zahhak finds out that his rival has been born, surely his armies will search out for you, and surely you and your child will perish. So go now, escape the kingdom at once, leave everything behind you, except your newborn child. And so Faranak bade farewell to her 2 elder sons, and she carried her newborn son in his swaddling clothes, and together they escaped into the wilderness. How long, for how many days, day and night, did she walk by foot with her baby in her arms? How long was this she could not remember. All she remembered that was one morning, she woke up in a meadow that was opening to springtime, and she felt the moisture of the morning dew on her cheek. And when she woke up and she looked up, she saw a cow that was as radiant as all the colors of the rainbow, with large eyes deep and compassionate. This cow who was licking her cheek. At once she was alarmed, for she did not feel her newborn baby against her body. But when she turned around quickly, she saw there he was, nursing on one of the teats of that very cow. This magnificent cow began to speak to her. The mother of one is the mother of all, said the cow. Do not be alarmed. Do not be alarmed, for I am Barmaye, the daughter of Kiumar's ox. I have come here. I have come here to be your guardian and the guardian of your newborn son. I will always be at your side and the side of your child until your child comes of age. And so there in the wilderness grew that newborn child, with his mother Faranak and Barmaye protecting them both. As Barmaye rescued her own child, Faranak gave to Barmaye the honor of naming her own son. And this is the name that Barmaye gave to the newborn son. I will call you, she said, I will call you Fereydoon, the third son of power, the third son who resists evil. And so Fereydoon and his mother Faranak, under the protection of Barmaye, grew together in that wilderness, far away from the kingdom. But it didn't take long. It didn't take long for stories to spread to the towns and then to the kingdom itself. Stories of this wondrous child forever bathed in light, who lived with his mother, and a cow wondrous and radiant as all the colors of the rainbow. When these stories reached the ears of the demon king Zahhak, he trembled, for he feared once again for that strange dream he had, that strange dream of the young man who would usurp his throne. And so at once he sent his armies to chase, to run after the three, the mother, the son, and the magical cow. And at that time, Barmaye approached Faranak and Fereydoon, saying these words. My loved ones, she said to them, now is the time that you must leave me. Now is the time that you must escape into the mountains beyond, the mountains called Albors. For now I feel that Zahhak, the demon king, has known of you, and his armies will be coming on soon. And when they arrive, and if you do not escape, you will surely die. Very well, said Faranak to Barmaye, but we will not leave unless you accompany us on our escape through the mountains beyond. But at this Barmaye replied, my dear ones, don't you understand that my hooves are cracked and my limbs are brittle? I am too old after all. I am too old to join you on this journey ahead of you. Leave me here where I will wait for my own fate. And with much weeping and much embracing, they parted. Faranak and her son Fereydoon began to climb the mountains. And every time on their journey they took a few steps, they turned back. And there they saw Barmaye grazing in the meadow peacefully, waiting for her destiny. And she did not have to wait long for her destiny to catch up with her. For indeed Zahhak and his armies arrived in that very meadow. And so disappointed that they had not found the youth bathed in light and his mother, they took the cow and dragged it, humiliated it, and then set fire to it. And it was told that the soldiers that day that witnessed the death of Barmaye by fire, it was told that some of them had seen the soul of Barmaye rise from the flames to join her father, Kiomar's ox. As for Faranak and her son Fereydoon, they traveled many days in the menacing steep mountains called the Albors. The snow was their traveling cape, The ice were their sandals, the hard stone their resting place. And yet, despite the bracing winds and the cold and the dangers, they crossed those high mountains called the Albors. And beyond it, they found a land so fertile, so green, so fertile that the melons and quinces grew as easily as the grass itself. And it was there that they lived. Now in that place, there lived an old man, a Mobad, a priest, who many years before had escaped the kingdom of Zahhak, the demon king. And he greeted Faranak and her son Fereydoon. He greeted them with these words: "Most blessed of mothers, most blessed son, it was foretold that a day would come that I would be introduced to who would become the new king of humanity. It was foretold that I would teach this youth bathed in light all that he needed to know to become a just and wise king." And so the old Mobad became the teacher of young Fereydoon, and he taught the boy how to become a king. And they lived there many years, until a day came when Fereydoon and his mother Faranak were greeted by visitors who had the dust of a long journey on their brows, visitors who claimed that they too crossed the menacing mountains called the Albors. The one who led all these visitors was a man who was tall and broad-shouldered, and he held in his hand a banner from which hung the leather apron of a blacksmith. And this leader of the visitors said these words: "I am Kaveh the blacksmith, and Zahhak the demon king killed all my sons. But when the time came when Zahhak ordered me to hand over my last living son, a word came upon my lips, a word that humanity had forgotten in speaking to their own king. And this forgotten word was this: no. No to injustice. No to lies. No to everything that makes humanity less than what it could be." And when I said this strange word, no, there were others around me who remembered that forgotten word. And then they began to utter this same word to their king Zahhak: no, no, no. Zahhak the demon king was so astonished, for this had not happened in such a long time. And so I and those who chose to use that strange word no gathered together, and we left the kingdom of Zahhak, the snake-shouldered king. And we were inspired of stories of a place far away where there grew up a youth bathed in light who would be the next king of humanity. And with those words, Kaveh and those he led bowed before Fereydoon on one knee. "O king, today we offer you our allegiance. Gather together an army, and with our victory we will crown you. We will crown you the next king of humanity. And so Kaveh forged a mace for Fereydoon, a mace that had the head of a bull in memory of the beloved Barmaye, the wondrous cow. And so Fereydoon, with his bull-headed mace, leading the army that had been brought together by Kaveh the blacksmith, made their way to the kingdom of Zahhak, the demon king. And when they arrived at the gates of the kingdom, they were met with little resistance. For already by then the kingdom had forgotten, had not believed anymore the lies that the king had told them. And so Fereydoon and his armies easily made their way through the gates of the kingdom to the palace itself. The palace with its walls as high as the clouds, walls that shone bright as the planet Jupiter. And soon enough, they stormed the throne room of Zahhak himself. Zahhak, the snake-shouldered king, was sitting on his golden throne, surrounded by a few of his courtiers who still believed his lies. And there was Fereydoon. He raised up his mace, and with one strike he made Zahhak fall from his golden throne. And he raised his mace once again, for with one more strike he would slay the demon king forever. But as soon as he tried to do so, there was someone who was holding his arm. He turned around to see who it was. And there she was, Sorush, the angel of conscience, her long hair perfumed with musk, her cheeks red and flushed as the blossoms of a Judas tree. And she said these words to Fereydoon: "Hey, Fereydoon, spare this day the demon king Zahhak. Do not return with evil, the evil that this demon king brought into the world. Do not stain your clean hands with his blood. Rather, make him your prisoner, or he could wait for hundreds of years for the terrible sentence that awaits him at the end of time." And so, at Sorush's words, Fereydoon ordered his army to throw chains over Zahhak, the demon king. And they dragged him to the deepest cavern of a high mountain called Damavand. And in that deep cavern, Fereydoon ordered his soldiers to nail the chains of Zahhak against the rock, so that he would be imprisoned in that darkness forever. And so Zahhak remains there to this very day. And every day, every time the world shakes, this is none other than Zahhak rattling his chains, trembling for the terrible punishment that awaits him at the end of time. And not long after they captured Zahhak, Fereydoon was crowned the next king of humanity. And at that time, Khavarna, the light of glory which Jamshid the king had chased away, returned back to the world, returned back to humanity. And humanity was bathed in its light, protected by it, nourished by it. Khavarna, the light of glory would always be the protector of humanity, as long as humanity never forgot how to welcome it.